What is the overnight policy rate?
Policy interest rates are key benchmarks that influence the overall interest rates in the country. The central bank has implemented two primary policy interest rates so far, the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate. The central bank plays a critical role in maintaining the liquidity of the banking system and guiding the overall financial stability of the economy. Standing deposit facility rate is the minimum rate paid by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka to absorb excess liquidity from the domestic banking system. This interest rate determines the interest on savings of the people. It serves as a basis for determining the interest rates charged to the public for loans.
What has the central bank done?
The central bank has shifted its focus away from the previous two policy interest rates and is now considering the overnight policy rate as the main policy rate.
What does this mean?
As the central bank deals with banks, transactions also occur between banks themselves. When liquidity is high, banks lend to each other on a daily basis. When liquidity is low, banks borrow from other banks. The interest rate at which these transactions occur is the overnight policy rate. This is not a new practice. It happens daily. What is new is the central bank's decision to use the overnight policy rate as the primary monetary policy tool. Malaysia, for example, has successfully implemented this approach. The Monetary Policy Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has now set the overnight policy rate at 8%. This means that when banks borrow from each other or lend to one another, the transactions should be based on this 8% rate. As a result of this policy shift, market interest rates have decreased by 0.5%.
අවුරුද්ද මුලදී අපි ප්‍රකාශ කරා ඔබ හැමට මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලි අනුපාත දෙකක් වෙනුවට එක් දින.
At the beginning of the year, we announced that we would be transitioning to a single policy interest rate, replacing the previous dual policy interest rate. In line with this, we issued the decision through a gazette yesterday to officially implement the change. Starting today, the central bank policy interest rate will be set as an overnight policy rate, and this will be the new standing moving forward. This marks the first key change. Our Monetary Policy Board has considered the current inflation, future inflation forecasts, the recovery of the country's economic performance and the need to ease the monetary policy. As a result, the policy interest rate, specifically the short-term overnight market interest rate between banks, will be reduced by 50 basis points from today. This will further ease the monetary policy. The primary reason for this decision is the current deflation and negative inflation. Based on our forecast, this trend may continue for the next few quarters. However, after 1 year, we are confident that we will be able to bring back inflation to the targeted medium and long-term levels, with goals of achieving 5% overnight interest rate with our policy decision today.
අපි නැවත උද්දමනේ මැදිහත් දික්කාලීන මට්ටමට ගෙන්න හැකියි කියන විශ්වාසය තියෙනවා මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලි අනුපාතය තීරණයත් එක්ක අද දිනේ.
Is this transition from the dual policy interest rate to single policy interest rate a part of the IMF agreement?
No, it's not part of the IMF. There's nothing to do with the IMF. This is our own research, and we also discussed with the IMF, obviously. We had our discussion with the experts for us to understand what are the best practices in the world in the other markets. This is not something that we invented. This is based on the best practices that has been adopted by other inflation targeting countries, and that has seemed very successful. So we have consultation, discussion, but this is our own decision. There's not a condition by the IMF.
How does this policy change affect the bank interest rates, leasing rates and the fixed deposit rates?
Interest rate transmission much faster. For example, now reduction in 50 basis point today, we hope it will transmit into market rates much more efficiently and much more quickly, so that will help the market lending rates to come down for the other businesses and economic activities.